Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Made in New England interview series, where we talk with New England-based companies and the people who lead them. I'm your host, Steve DeVries, and today I'm joined by Devin Brown, the president of J&J Machine Company, located in Marlborough, Mass. Devin, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Steve.
So, would you like to kick us off with maybe a brief background as to who you are and what your company does?
Sure. Yeah, 10 years ago, I decided to leave a corporate job. I was a manager in biotech uh, and do something very different. I bought a machine shop. And no, I did not have any experience in the industry. And so it took me a little while to get my feet underneath me. But I run J&J Machine, and we're a 15-person precision CNC shop. We make parts for aerospace companies, medical companies, scientific companies in New England, and defense companies.
Very cool. What's driven your success for the last 10 years?
I would say the most important driver of success has been really focusing on getting a culture right, and then finding people that work well as a team. So, I'm here. This is my second home, and I'm here all day long. And there's a certain type of person I want to work with. They have to be creative and smart and willing to work together, and you know, able to solve challenges. And it took us a while to get that culture right, but now that we have, it's a really fun place to come together and solve problems.
Can we dive down that culture rabbit hole for just a little bit? I'm curious how you went about doing that because it's something that so many businesses talk about, right? You can't open LinkedIn without seeing somebody writing something about culture. But here we have a business owner who was very intentional about building the culture. How did you go about doing that?
It took a while, and it took me a long time to have the confidence to sort of almost remember who I am and what was important to me. Came into a new industry, and I had a lot of people that wanted to tell me, in machine shops you do this and you do that. And several years into it, I had somebody come to me and say, I can see what you're trying to do, and you can do it. You just have to raise your standards. And I think one of the biggest challenges was doing just that, raising the standards of a whole organization, because people that maybe serve you well uh, at one point don't grow with you. So it's a lot of saying goodbye to people and bringing in new people. And but once it clicked, people come in and they can tell right away that they wouldn't want to work anyplace else. Which um, when it's a good fit, it makes the recruitment process very easy.
I love that. So, as the president of your company, what things do you look at to help you know if your business is moving in the right direction and looking, preparing to meet its or achieve its goals? Are there metrics or are there market indicators that help you make decisions?
I would say, in terms of KPIs, a lot of our metrics are very typical of any business, sales and gross margin. As a manufacturer, we look at, quality and defect rates and things like that. Um, but I look at the what we do every day as kind of a Rubik's cube. Um, we have jobs that come in, we have people that can do the work, and we have machinery. And I think one thing that's a little different, because we're a prototype shop and not a production facility, is um, we try to optimize our people. That's our scarce resource. So you might walk in and see machines not running, but if our people are fully utilized, you can't optimize everything at once, right? So we really try to make sure everybody's fully productive every day. That's our probably our biggest metric.
Was that something that you knew right away when you bought the business, or is that something that you arrived at over time?
No, we arrived at that. It's a little backwards, maybe counterintuitive, but once we decided the type of people we wanted, um, if you hire smart people, you don't want to put them on 1,000-piece run jobs, right? So if I don't keep my people engaged with difficult challenges, they get a little bit bored. So we then, I feel like most shops, they they'll prototype in the hopes of getting the production work. But we found if we just embrace the prototyping, that there's money to be made prototyping, and then sometimes that leads to maybe small batch production for us. But um, yeah, that's what's worked for us. It took us a while to get there, though.
So, what excites you most about the future of your business?
You know, we uh, we intend to kind of organically grow. We recently moved into 5-axis manufacturing, and I think that's going to play a bigger and bigger role in our throughput. Uh, I think longer term, the next decade I think is going to be um, pretty exciting in manufacturing. Um, when I look at AI and what it can do today, it can help with marketing and it can help with writing. But I see a couple real critical applications for AI in manufacturing. Um, First of all, in quoting, I think the robots are going to be able to quote faster than the people pretty quickly. What we spend a lot of time trying to decide how many hours of machining it's going to take to do a certain part. Um, I think that could be taken over by AI pretty quickly. Um, that scheduling, internal the scheduling, trying to optimize the job to the person and the machine. Um, I think there's a real application for AI there. And then we do what we call programming, which is turning the customer's part into code that feeds our machines. Um, I think AI is going to take that over pretty quickly. So I think in 10 years, the industry is going to look very different than it does today.
Well, so on the flip side, then, if you could maybe wave a magic wand over your business and make one thing happen, what would that be?
I think I, the biggest thing I would love to see would be just a better understanding of what the careers available are within manufacturing. Um, I grew up on Bruce Springsteen songs. I love the boss, and but a lot of his songs are about the rusty factory closing down and how sad the town is and all that. Um, when I was looking to buy a business, it didn't even occur to me that there were little manufacturing companies in the area. Um, but it's really a thriving industry now. The mass production may have moved overseas, but the prototyping, the innovation, that's all still here. And there's a perception that the careers in manufacturing are dark, dirty, and dangerous, and that really couldn't be further from the truth. I like to tell students that we're mentoring that we're programming robots to cut metal, and it's exciting, it's challenging, it uses all sorts of science and math and programming. So I think there's opportunities in manufacturing for people who get satisfaction from seeing tangible things come to life.
It's an interesting take that you have on the perception of manufacturing jobs, and it's one that I happen to agree with. So you mentioned that you work with students to show them what is it you do. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, we have a relationship with the local trade school, so they have a program where students can, if they select CNC machining, the their first year is academic, and they explore different potential careers. The second year, they spend about half of their time on academics, traditional academics, and half of their time in the shop, learning the basics of CNC machining. And then for the third and fourth year, they spend half of their time out at companies. So we've mentored several students through our apprentice program. Um, some end up in the industry. Many of them end up going to college. We have, one of our students was the valedictorian of his high school, and then he went to WPI. He's come back for a couple different summers, and it's pretty exciting to see them develop. And then, you know, if we don't end up with them in the trade, at least they're in industry with some experience, you know, regarding how a part gets made, which can really help. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So there's, a lot of people who share your thoughts, I think, on working with trade schools. Do you have any particular advice for local businesses who are really starving for the talent and are looking for ways to, just find more people that can come in and are interested in doing this kind of work?
Boy, I would say, do everything you can. Open houses, go to job fairs, the get get students to come through your shop. I think there are, certain people were born to make things, and when when people come through and they see what our machines do, um, it can really open their eyes to the opportunities in the industry. But we really have to do everything we can to get out there and uh, increase the awareness.
I agree. I agree. Well, so the show's called Made in New England, right? And it's all about businesses that make things here in New England. So, what pros or cons can you talk about that have an impact on your business being located right here in New England?
Sure. Yeah, it's a unique area. I guess one con is the cost of living, right? So we are not a low cost of labor region, right? So uh, and my company in particular, we're not scaled to have great economies of scale. So that kind of shapes the type of work that we do as well. So we don't try and compete against um, giant companies in other parts of the world. Um, you know, on the flip side, there's a lot of great things about being in this area. There's so much innovation in this area, so much brain power that ideas are spun out of all the universities and all the biotechs and everything, and you can kind of feel those ideas. You know, I like Marlboro because our people can live west of here, where the cost of living is a little lower,
Hmm.
but the ideas are coming out of all the great institutions in this area. So that's a great part of this area is just all the brain power and innovation. And then I think Massachusetts unfairly has a reputation for not being a great place to do business, but I've really found that the state of Massachusetts is incredibly supportive of manufacturing. They don't teach you in business school, but you know, we've gotten a lot of grant money and a lot of support by just being aware of what's available and then dialing into that support. It's really helped grow our business.
Nice. Well, so last question. This is usually where I ask, about advice for budding business leaders. But in your case, you have this interesting story where you took a turn in your career path and came into a new industry and because you wanted to own and lead a business. So, what could you tell people out there who are considering something similar?
Boy, it's a great question. People always ask me if I could go back, would I do it again? And I tell people that the biggest mistake I ever made in my life was buying a business, but I also it's how I learned as much. I learned more from that experience than anything else, right? So if I could go back, I'd do a whole lot of things differently because I know a lot more now. So um, I probably, it might have been biting off a little more than I could handle to learn to run a business and learn a new industry at the same time. So I probably would have uh, maybe spent a year in the industry before I invested in buying a company. Uh, I had an idea that if I did a lot of different corporate jobs, I could learn everything I needed to know about running a business. And if I could give advice to my younger self, I would say dive in as soon as you can because the only way to learn how to run a business is to actually do it. Um, and then, I probably would have documented my due diligence a lot better. Um, and I guess one thing I've learned along the way is there are lots of experts out there that want to share their success. If you ask, people will freely give their advice. So, you know, find find people and learn what you can from them.
Absolutely. All great pieces of advice. So we've been speaking today with Devin Brown of J&J Machine Company in Marlboro. Devin, thanks so much for joining us today. I really appreciate your time.
Well, thank you, Steve. My pleasure.
All right. And thanks to all of you for watching and for listening. Looking forward to sharing our next episode with you just as soon as possible. Hope you all have a great day.